teachings of Rabbi Ephraim Sprecher, Dean of Students at Diaspora Yeshiva on Mount Zion, Jerusalem.
Learning about the Mishkan, so why spend so many verses on the Mishkan and all the Kalim? We don't have a Mishkan today. We know the Torah is God's GPS forever. What is the message of the Mishkan? And the Mishkan was made of animal skin. Animal skin. Over and over again it says animal skin. And what's the message? We don't have a Mishkan with animal skin today. So the answer is, say, Rabbi, when you're looking at the Mishkan with the animal skin, or you're studying about the Mishkan of the animal skin, you have to remember, I've got you under my skin. The Mishkan is just a tangible symbol that God doesn't dwell under the animal skin, He dwells under my skin. So by studying this, even though we don't have it, we have remembered that Kodesh Baruch Hu is the one that dwells in Shechanti B'tocham underneath our skin. And in such great detail. So the Mefarshim tell us that the Mishkan is a model and a replica of the universe.
Oh, really?
Isn't that amazing, Mekimia?
Yes.
The Mishkan, and therefore we study it even though we don't have a Mishkan, because somehow, as Anoch was saying before, by studying the Mishkan, we are God's partner in maintaining the universe, and we'll see how that works. The Mishnah tells us, Basora Mamorot Nivra Olam. God created the world with 10 sayings. 10 times it says by the Mishkan V'yosita. You shall make this vessel, you shall make that vessel. How many times? 10 times. And how many curtains was the Mishkan made with? 10. So the Mefarshim tell us that the 10 curtains of the Mishkan, and 10 times it says you shall make this and make that, corresponds to Basora Mamorot Nivra Olam. Just like God created the world with 10 sayings, we have to create the Mishkan through 10 curtains, 10 times Vasita, because the Mishkan is a model and a replica of the universe. And we'll see how. In the Mishkan, they had a menorah. What does a menorah represent, Avi? Here comes the sun. Yes. The light of the menorah represents the sun. The kior, the wash basin, represents what, Daniel? The oceans. Yeah. The shulchan, with the lechem upon him, represents what? The food chain. Isn't that amazing? The curtains represent the heavens. The Mizbach Adama represents planet Earth, Adama. The Mizbach Hazal, when they burn delicious incense, represents the smell of the aroma of flowers and plants. So everything in the Mishkan was actually a model of the universe. And it's amazing. When you look at the creation, Genesis 1, Chanok, the Torah gives very short shrift. Creation of the universe is short shrift. Here, the model of the universe, which is the Mishkan, the Torah goes into great detail. Why is that? Why is that? God's creation gets short shrift. The Torah is concerned mainly with our actions, not with Hashem's actions. So God's actions in Genesis 1 created the cosmos, few psukim. But our action, we're creating a model of the universe, the Mishkan, Terumah, Tetzaveh, Vayakel, Pekudah, over and over again. Isn't that amazing how much God values, our input? We maintain the universe. By studying the Mishkan, we keep the world spinning. And therefore it's so important to study it. Study about the menorah, we keep the sun shining. We study about the kior avi, we keep the oceans flowing. We study about the shulchan, we keep the food chain going. It's on and on. It's just an amazing idea. The Torah is concerned with our tafkid much more than with God's actions. So God's actions is chick-chack in Genesis 1. Our actions, the model of the universe, the replica, gets repeated over and over again in minute detail. So, the model of the universe is the Mishkan. The Mishkan is also a model of the Jewish home. A model of the Jewish home. What do I mean by that? Well, in the Mishkan, you had a shulchan. Avi, don't you have a shulchan in your dining room?
Yes.
The Mishkan, you had a menorah. That's your Shabbos candelabra. The Mishkan, you had a mizbeach. That's your oven. Now, the Mishkan was divided into the Kodesh and the Kodesh HaKadoshim. Your home is also Kodesh and Kodesh HaKadoshim. So you have your shulchan, you have the menorah, you have your oven, the tanur, that's in the Kodesh. But behind the curtain of Kodesh HaKadoshim, what's the Kodesh HaKadoshim in a Jewish home? The bedroom. Behind the curtain, you had these two lovebirds embracing an intimate position. The Kruvim were embraced intimate. That represents the unity of husband and wife. Behind the curtain, and they had the faces of children. The Jewish bedroom's holy of holies, because that's what Jewish children are what? Created. And that's Kodesh HaKadoshim. Isn't that amazing? And therefore, in the Holy of Holies, you had these keruvim, you had erotic figures in the Holy of Holies. That's just incredible. In an intimate position, representing that the love between a husband and wife is the greatest form of Kedusha. Therefore, the act of getting married, Daniel, is called Kiddushin. So I just said something. I said that the Kodesh HaKadoshim in a Jewish home is the bedroom. You think I'm off the wall? Chanoch. Take a look at Kings 2, chapter 11. You're sitting down, Chanoch. Kings 2, chapter 11. It's describing the Kodesh HaKadoshim. It's called Chadar HaMitot. The bedroom. Hello? Kings 2, chapter 11. It's speaking about the Kodesh HaKadoshim. And the Navi calls it Chadar HaMitot. Which literally means what, Yehuda? The bedroom. Hello? Isn't that incredible? So therefore we study about the Mishkan and all of its details. The Torah is telling us we help maintain the universe to what? To exist. We are God's partners. Isn't that amazing? We're God's partners. So much so that the Torah was given in the month of Sivan. What's the mazel of the month of Sivan? To Omim, twins. In Parshas Mishpatim, it says that Moshe spritzed half the dam on the Mizbeach, and he spritzed the other half of dam, what? On the people. And Rashi says, Amalek came and divided the dam 50-50. Who cares? 50-50 exactly? Who does the Mizbeach represent, Daniel? Kodesh Baruch Hu. So half of the blood was spritzed on the Mizbeach, representing God, and the other half of the Sefer HaBrit on the people. And Rashi quotes Midrash that Amalek came and made sure it's 50-50, says Rav Soloveitchik. Why is that important? To prove we're not only God's partner, we're 50-50 partners. So how to be exactly, the Malach had to figure out exactly Chatzi Adam al Mizbeach, the Chatzi Adam al Am. We're not just God's partner, we're 50-50 partners. The month of Omim, when we gave the Torah to Omim, twins. There's a pasuk in Shir HaShirim. Pischeli Yonoti Tamoti. What does Tamoti mean from the word? To Omim. God says, Kavayochel, you're my twin. You're my 50-50 partner. And therefore it's so important to study about the Mishkan, even though we don't have it. Even when we don't have it, it's so important to study about it. And the Mishkan was made by about the menorah. It says the menorah shall be made. All the other vessels it says make it. By the menorah it says teyoseh ha-menorah. Teyoseh. The menorah shall be made. Why? He couldn't do it himself. Why couldn't he do it? Why was it so complicated? You go to Machar HaMikdash, they'll tell you why he couldn't do it. Gold is a very soft metal. Mm-hmm. The pipes will just fold into themselves. So Moshe and Betzalel, they tried and they tried again, but it just didn't work because the gold is such a soft metal, it can't hold those pipes. So it kept collapsing till he gave up. So God said, okay, take the chunk of gold, throw it in the fire, it'll make itself. So the question is, if God knew that under the laws of physics, gold is a soft metal and the pipes won't be able to stand, why did he have Moshe and Bezalel knock their heads out? Only when you do your best, only then will God do the rest.
That's right.
That's right. If Moshe and Bezalel wouldn't have tried their darnest, then God will not have helped them. You, again, partners, you do as much as you can do. Go through the motions. Try to make the menorah. Once you've done your best, Avi, only then will God do the rest. I think it rhymes. That's the message of the menorah. Even though they couldn't do it, they had to try. We have to go through the motions because we are God's partners. That's pretty amazing. And such great detail of the Mishkan. Now, it says you shall make the kroshim. Rashi wonders, by all the other vessels it says you make this, make that. By the board it says hakroshim, with the hey ayediyah. Make these special boards. What is the hakroshim with the extra hey? How do you say in Hebrew hey ayediyah in English? The definitive, the boards. What's the extra hey? Where did they get boards? Where did they get atzei shitim in the midbar? So Rashi says something amazing. These boards were special. When Yaakov and the family came down to Egypt, Yaakov took with him atzei shitim saplings, and he planted them in his backyard in Cairo. They said, "Grandpa, what are you planting these saplings for? What are you?" He says, "Listen, guys. 210 years from now, you're going to leave Egypt, and God will command you to build what? A Mishkan of atzei shitim. Make sure when you leave Egypt, cut down these trees and take them with you." You hear? So it's hakroshim with the hey ayidiyah. It's those boards taken from those cedar wood saplings that Yaakov planted in Egypt when he came down with the family. And 210 years later, when the Jews left Egypt, they had to chop down the trees and take them with them. They had enough to do. They had to pack after 210 years to take all of the belongings with them. Why have to go chopping down the trees for? What are they, Paul Bunyan? I mean, if God could make donuts fall from heaven, and God can make water come from a rock, and God can split the Red Sea, he can't produce atzei shitim in the midbar? Why bother the Jews to schlep them, to chop them down? You had a lot to do on Exodus Day.
In addition to the gold and silver they're schlepping.
Right, it's all the gold and silver. Become Paul Bunyan and chop them down and schlep the Shido. What's the answer?
We have to do our part.
Ah, beautiful, Makimia. God says, no, you guys got to do yours, and only then will I do mine. Yeah. It's those cedar woods that Yaakov planted. That's the special cedar wood. For that, the Mishkan, the Mesiras Nefesh of Yaakov Avinu, that made the Mishkan. It says, atzei shitim omdim. Stand by for commercial break. Atzei shitim omdim. These shitim were standing by for 210 years earlier when they were just mere saplings. When Father Jacob brought them down from where? Hebron, planted them in the Cairo backyard. Atzei shitim omdim. Stand by. Pretty amazing, huh? Now, Purim's around the corner. I think we should talk a little bit about the B'shenechtas Adar Marbin B'simcha. Why is a month called Adar, Daniel? Adar is Rosh Tevot, FBI, CIA. Adar is Ein Dover Ra. You hear this? Adar is Rosh Tevot, the Aleph Daled Reish. Ein Dover Ra. There is no bad. Haman looked bad, but it actually was good for the Jews. What do I mean by that? Isn't it strange that we name a cookie after Haman? Would you call Abu Mamzer Danish? Would you call Arafat cookie? Why name a pastry after Haman? Isn't that bizarre? You wouldn't name an Arafat cookie, would you? The answer is that what? Oznei Haman. And why is it called Oznei Haman? Why is the cookie called Daniel Oznei Haman? It looks like an ear. It doesn't look like an ear to me. It looks like a triangle. Why is it called in Hebrew Oznei Haman? Because of Haman, we gave ear. 48 Nevi'im told us to do tshuva. It went in one ear out the other. Haman came along with the evil decree. All of a sudden, we listened. Kimu v'kiblu ha-Yehudim. There was a new Kabbalah Satorah. All the Jews did tshuva. All the Jews became Haredi. So in a strange way, Haman was what? Good for the Jews. Because of Haman, we gave ozen. We listened to Mordechai and Esther, and we did tshuva. So in a bizarre way, we owe our existence to what? To Haman. Otherwise, the Jewish people would have been assimilated 2,400 years ago. Gone with the wind. But because of Haman's evil decree, the Jews became frightened, and Oznei Haman, they gave ear to the prophets, Mordechai and Esther, and Daniel, Hasach, and Kimu v'kiblu ha-Yehudim. They accepted upon themselves the Torah again, this time by Ahava. Thanks to whom? Haman. So therefore we call the cookie Haman and Oznei Haman. Even though it doesn't look like an ear, because of Haman, we gave ear and listened and did tshuva. That's pretty amazing. That the Talmud says Haman did more for the BT movement than all the 48 prophets of Tanakh. He frightened us. Right? Why is there no Hallel on Purim? We say Hallel on Hanukkah, but why don't we say Hallel on Purim? So Rachmiel gave the answer of the Meiri. No, the Gemara actually, Megillah says that the Megillah is the Hallel. One answer is reading the Megillah is the Hallel. That's what the Gemara Megillah says. So according to Meiri, it's a great Chiddush. If you have no Megillah on Purim, then you should say Hallel. Because according to the Gemara, that the Megillah isn't Hallel. When reading the Megillah, that's praising God, even though God's name is not there. But you're praising HaKadosh Baruch Hu by reading the Megillah. So Meiri says, according to this teretz in the Gemara, if you have no kosher Megillah on Purim, Avi, what should you do? Say Hallel. That's what he says. But another teretz is that we're still under Achashverosh's dominion. What does that mean? We haven't had Achashverosh for 2,400 years. What does that mean? It means that the Jewish mindset, what will the Goyim say, right? That's You're still afraid of what the Goyim will say. We have that shtetl mentality, before we do what's right, we're looking over our shoulder what the UN will say, what the EU will say. So since we still have that mentality that we can't shake, that's another reason why we don't say Hallel on Purim. All the Jews did tshuva. Kimu v'kiblu ha-Yehudim, they all became Haredi. So how come Mashiach didn't come?
They didn't come back to Eretz Yisrael.
Because the Chabad say, because the Rebbe wasn't born yet. That's what they say, really. But they all did tshuva. So how come Mashiach didn't come? So Mikimi gave the answer. They all did tshuva, but they remained in Babylon, Long Island. They didn't want to come to Eretz Yisrael. Out of millions of Jews, only 42,365 came back. And millions remained in Babylon and Persia. And therefore what? Mashiach didn't come.
Sounds familiar.
Well, sounds familiar, right? We could be a good Jew in Babylon and Persia. They refused to make Aliyah. And therefore what? Mashiach could have been here 2,400 years ago. Which means no Holocaust. But the Jews remained behind. Even Mordechai and Esther. They're in Shushan Habira in Hamadan in Persia. My wife was a little girl. Her father took her there to Hamadan, which is Shushan, and the cave of Mordechai and Esther still exists.
Wow. Wow.
And the Iranian government respects that because they think it's a good luck charm for them. But anyway, Megillah Esther is very strange. It's the only book in Tanakh that does not have Hashem's name. Of all the 24 books in Tanakh, it's the only one where Hashem's name is not made. He's there, but how come his name is not there? And it's called Megillat Esther. How come it's not called Megillat Mordechai? Mordechai also wrote the Megillah. So why do we call it Megillat Esther and not Megillat Mordechai?
I think
Because Megillah, and her name was Hadassah. Why not call it Megillat Hadassah? Her name was Hadassah Esther. Named after the hospital, or the hospital named after her. Which came first? I don't know, right? So why not Megillah Hadassah? The answer is Megillah Esther, Daniel, means legalot et Hester.
To find this.
To reveal the hidden one. Esther means to hide, to conceal. The pasuk in Parshat is Vayelech V'nochi astir panai. God says, my face and my name will be hidden. And God is talking about the Purim miracle, where God remains behind the scenes. So Esther, Megillat Esther means legalot et Hester, to reveal the one that's hiding behind the mask. Is that amazing?
Yes.
Why we wear a mask on Purim is because what you see is not really what you get. God also wears a mask. What's God's mask called? Hateva. Nature in Hebrew is called Hateva. Hateva's gematria, Elokim. God wears the mask of nature. So we wear a mask on Purim to remind us that this world is a game. God plays hide and seek with us. Daniel, a peekaboo. Right? God hides behind a mask of nature or a mask of kawinky dinkies. It looks like Esther happened to win the beauty contest. She's the most beautiful girl. And Mordechai and Esther Mordechai walked by when Bixum and Sarah were plotting. Just then, not earlier. It looks like a string of coincidences. That's all the mask. So we wear a mask on Purim to remind us that what you see is not what you get. It's all God, but He operates behind the mask in order to allow free will to operate. Because if God wouldn't wear the mask of nature, we'd all be puppets, Abby. And God doesn't want any puppets. He wants what? Partners. So in order to have partners, He has to put on the facade of nature and hide behind what looks like a coinky dinky in order to give us the opportunity to what? To exercise our free will properly, to choose. And He can only do that when He wears the mask. So we wear a mask on Purim to remind us that it's all a game. Because Baruch Hu plays like peekaboo or hide and seek with us, like a parent plays with a child, that it's all sheker. What you look, it looks like coincidence, things are happening, God's not in charge, but it's all HaKadosh Baruch Hu pulling the strings behind the Purim mask. That's pretty amazing. We all wear masks. What's the mask? Our body. Doesn't the body hide who we are? Who are we? We're a godly soul. So we're wearing a mask. For 100 years we're around here, hopefully, right? Or more, 120. We're wearing the mask. The guf masks who we are. We're a chelik Elohai mimal. We are tzelem Elohim. But we're wearing a mask. Our body conceals who we are in order to accomplish a mission. So God wears a mask, nature. The Zohar says when after 120 we shed the mask. What's our mask? The body, and He sheds His mask. And then after 120, reunited, and it feels so good. So this is called Olam HaSheker. It's a world of illusion. And the Olam Haba is called what? The Olam HaEmet, where the game is over. No more hide and seek and peekaboo. Because I'm a soul man. Remember that song? I'm a soul man. Hidden under the mask of my body. Pretty amazing. Now, Megillah's current events, it's amazing. The same place as Haman threatened us 24 years ago. You read the Ayatollah Khamenei or one of his ministers, every day they threatened Israel to destroy us. It's mamish the same language of the Haman and the same address. Same address. Paras. Persia, Iran, Paras, right? It's just amazing, right? It's just amazing that how history keeps repeating itself. You read the Megillah, it's like you're reading history, what's happening today. Achashverosh invites the Jews to this wild party. And the Jews, what? They attend the party. Now, even if the food was kosher, the entertainment certainly was not kosher.
It was not.
Right? What are the Jews doing at the wild party of Achashverosh? What are they doing there, Abi? Total assimilation. The Jews were assimilating. Now, it's just amazing. If you read the Megillah, even though God's name is not mentioned once, But the Talmud says, wherever it says Ha-Melech, but the extra Hey, Chanoch, Ha-Melech, the Hey Yediyah, who's the king? Who's the king? Hashem. Now, Achashverosh makes this wild party. He invites he invites Vashti. He summons Vashti to come wearing her birthday suit. And she refuses. Why? What is she, a wallflower? She refuses. So the Talmud says because she broke out in hives. She was ashamed.
She grew a tail.
Right? Grew a tail, whatever. She's not, she's probably Miss Playboy there. What is she ashamed? Why didn't she come? It says, V'temoin Amalka Vashti Lavo. Queen Vashti refused to come. All of a sudden she became a Beit Yaakov Medel. Why did she refuse to come? Bidvar HaMelech. Bidvar HaMelech. What does Bidvar HaMelech mean? He caused her to break out in hives, or he gave her whatever, a bad hair day. She refused to come. It made no sense defying the king. She know what kind of maniac, paranoid he was. But she refused to come. Bidvar HaMelech. In the word of the Melech. He put that bee in a bonnet. Today I don't feel like parading naked. To cause her to be eliminated. This way opens the door for whom? And you see how God is maneuvering everything? It's all B'dvar HaMelech. Well, Vashti didn't feel like coming. She's having a bad hair day. She doesn't want to come. It's all Dvar HaMelech. The masquerade on Purim. It's all God hiding behind the masquerade that we call current events, or we call coincidences. It's just amazing. Esther and Mordechai, they come from which family? Benjamin. Which family in Benjamin? Shaul HaMelech. Now the Talmud says if Shaul HaMelech would have killed Arafat when he had the chance, there would be no Haman. He let Arafat live. The Agag, king of Amal, he let him live. And then he, out of pity, compassion, what would the UN say? And he had relations with whoever, and then the seed lived on, and later on, centuries later, who was born? Haman. So if Shaul would have killed Agag, the king of Amalek, there would be no Haman. So he messed up. So therefore, the descendants of Shaul, who are the descendants of Shaul? Mordechai and Esther, they're the ones that take care of Haman. They have to fix what Grandpa messed up. Grandpa let Agag Amalek live, and their Haman came on the scene, and therefore it's Dafke, the family of Shaul HaMelech, Mordechai and Esther, that the salvation comes Dafke to what? Through them. Through them. Pretty amazing. Now, if you read the Megillah carefully, you'll see that Achashverosh invented replacement theology. The Catholic Church didn't invent it. Wish you would have the Megillah with you. But if you look in the Megillah, chapter 1, you'll see how Achashverosh is the one that invented replacement theology. He calls this capital Shushan Habira. Now, Shushan, you look in Divrei Hayomim, chapter 29, the Beis HaMikdash is called Habira, with the extra hay. So when he built this palace, he called it Habira, replacement theology. I am the new temple. You hear this?
Yep.
Now, it's even more than that. If you take a look at the way the Beis HaMikdash was set up in Yecheskel 42, there was an outer court and an inner court in the Beis HaMikdash. And Achashverosh's palace, look at the Megillah, had an outer court and an inner court. Modeled after what? The Beis HaMikdash. And anyone who entered the inner sanctum of Achashverosh without permission was what? Killed. Like anyone who entered the Kodesh HaKadoshim Not the Kohen Gadol with what? Chayiv Mitah. Do you see this analogy? Do you see, Avi, that Achashverosh invented replacement theology? I am your Nor Bira. I am your Beis Hamikdash now. And he dressed up as the Kohen Gadol. I am your Kohen Gadol now. As the Jews said in Germany, didn't they say that Berlin is the new Jerusalem? Yep. So all of it in the Megillah is to teach that Achashverosh said, guys, this is your new Jerusalem. I'm your new high priest, and my capital is your new Bira. And that's when all the Tzorah started. That's when all the Tzorah started. When the Jews delude themselves and think that what? That they can become what? Like the nations of the world? And assimilate? Then Lo Yaleinu, God has to send a Haman. You know, the Jews in Germany, they were so assimilated.
Yes.
To the point that when they were transferred to Auschwitz, those Jews in World War I, they wore their medals on the clothes. On the way to Auschwitz, they wore their medals from World War I and their Iron Cross.
They intermarried.
That's how assimilated they were. That's how assimilated they were. If you look at the Megillah, it's just amazing. It says when the final decree was published in Shushan, the Ir Shushan Nevocha. They published the final decree in the Pashkevilas. The Jews are going to be exterminated on the 14th of Adar. It says the Ir Shushan Nevocha. What does Nevocha mean? What does Nevocha mean?
Confused.
Confused. Is that the proper emotion? Should say terrified, depressed. Nevocha means perplexed. Is that the proper emotion, Nevocha? Confused? They said, how could this happen to us? Who is more loyal to the Persian Empire than we are? How could it be happening to us? They were shocked. We're more Persian than the Persians. This could be happening to us. The message of the Agadah, of the Megillah, don't get too comfortable, not even in Borough Park, especially not even in Muncie. Don't get too comfortable, because they don't want us there.
That's right.
They hate us.
Okay.
The Jews felt very secure and safe in Persia. And when Jews get too comfortable in Chutz La'aretz, Avi, then there's a wake-up call that we don't belong in Chutz La'aretz. We have to come home. It's all part of God's plan to wake the Jews up, to force them to come home. But the Jews can't figure out. They think that they can become part of Gentile culture, and the Gentiles will accept them if they just act more Goyish than the Goyim. But Avi, it doesn't work. Sooner or later, it backfires.
Doesn't work.
And how come we haven't learned after all these centuries? We haven't learned a thing. We haven't learned a thing. It's more than that. Why God's name is not in the Megillah, and why there's no Hallel on Purim. You know, when the Purim story happened, if you look in the book of Ezra, 50 years before Achashverosh, Cyrus, not Cyrus Vance, Cyrus already made a proclamation that all the Jews are permitted and encouraged to what? To come back to Eretz Yisrael. 50 years earlier. And there were no takers. So God says, what are you guys still doing in Babylon and Paras? Didn't you hear Cyrus Vance 50 years ago? So God had to send a Haman. What are you guys doing here? So God's name is not in the Megillah. And you don't say Hallel. Because the Jews had no business remaining in Paras, in Bavel, 50 years after the benevolent king of Persia, Cyrus, had encouraged us to come home. And nobody was interested. Eze busha v'cherpa. So you're going to say Hallel? You want my name there, God says? You guys don't belong here. You out to lunch? So therefore, Purim is a holiday without Hashem's name, without Hallel, because the Jews shouldn't have been there in the first place after we received permission from Cyrus 50 years before Achashverosh. Achashverosh came on the throne, and he was a vicious anti-Semite. The Gemara Megillah says that we think he is a buffoon or a clown, but he was a Jew hater almost as much as Haman. Look how God works in mysterious ways.
Yes, it does.
Achashverosh and Mordechai, Achashverosh and Esther had a child. Shortly after the Purim story, Achashverosh dies. And Esther has a child with him. What's the child's name? Darius. And he's the one that encouraged and helped the Jews build a second temple. God works in mysterious ways. Achashverosh was a vicious Jew hater and didn't want the temple built. Looks like God has a sense of humor, Yehuda. So after the Purim story, Achashverosh is taken out, and his child is the one that goes against his own father's decree, and he's the one that supports financially and otherwise the Jewish people to build a second temple. So God works in mysterious ways. Esther had to marry Achashverosh, which is very problematic, right? To marry a Goyish king, it's intermarriage. But God works in mysterious ways. Her child was Jewish, because the child goes after what?
Mother.
After the mother. So Darius was Jewish, even though he didn't live like a Jew, but he was Jewish by birth. And because of him, the second temple was what? Was built. So we don't know God's plan. There is a plan, Avi. There's a great planner. And if you look behind the scenes, we're all writing our own Purim story. Whether we know it or not, Chanoch, we're writing our own Megillah. All the twists and turns that we go through life, all the detours and all the disappointments. Look at Mordechai and Esther and all the tzoros they went through. But little did they know, Billah, they're writing the Megillah. All of us, whether we know it or not, are writing what? Our personal Megillah. And we have to connect the dots. It's all him. Kadosh Baruch Hu, you can't fool me. I know you're wearing a mask. Peekaboo. You're playing hide and seek with me. And all of the frustration and all the detours in life and disappointments, Daniel, it's part of the plan. It's all in the Megillah. Every one of us is writing our own Megillat Esther. And our tafkid is to reveal the hidden one. Hashem, you can't fool me. I know it's you. You're wearing the mask because you don't want a puppet, you want a partner. In order to meet your partner, God has to hide behind the mask, otherwise we'd be robots. Right. So to be Tikkun Olam, we have to go through this, and God puts us through this in order to make Tikkun Olam. That's only possible when our free will can play out. So that's why Purim is such a great yontif. Purim, we realize, the holiday is called Purim. Chanoch, isn't that bizarre? Because Purim is a Persian word for lottery. Now, in Yahadut, Avi, the name of the Chag defines what took place. Why is it called Pesach? God passed over when he killed the firstborn Mitzvah. Why is it called Sukkot? God built up magic tents, Sukkot. Right? Shuot, the festival of 7 weeks, counting the Torah. In Yahadut, the name of the Chag defines what took place. Why is it called Purim? Chanukah should be called National Rescue Day. Yom Hatzalah. Just because Haman threw a lottery, Persian word for lottery, Purim, when is the best month to kill the Jews? It came up what month? Adar. He was happy when the lottery came Adar because he knew that Moses what? Died in Adar. He didn't know that Moses was also what? Born in Adar.
And there were no other Jewish.
Right?
There were no
other Jewish holiday. Adar is the only month, right? So he was happy. So just because Haman made a lottery, why do we call the Yontiv lottery? Does it make any sense? That's the idea. God hides behind the mask. Lottery looks like it's a chance. You happen to win the right ticket, it looks like a chance, right? All of life looks like a lottery. That's the test. That's the game. The reality is it's all God.
All of life is a Purim.
All of life is a Purim spiel. Daniel, what Yehuda just said? All of life is a Purim spiel. God is playing with us. Peekaboo. Hide and seek. Don't be fooled. It's all part of the plan. Of course, we act independently and we do what we want, but we're playing chess with the Grand Master. Avi, you ever play chess with the Grand Master? You not play chess?
Yeah, no.
You ever play with a Grand Master? You're moving independently. But the Grand Master controls the game. He's not making you move that pawn or that rook or what's it called, the castle, whatever, the bishop. But he has a way of controlling the game. That's HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We're playing chess with the Grand Master. We're moving independently, but he is controlling the game. Each one of us has a destiny. With all the twists and the turns, we're writing our own Megillat Esther.
That's right.
And we have to know, with all the disappointments and all the heartache, the long and winding road. Now, we read the Megillah in 45 minutes, right? We forget the story plays out over dozens of years. From the time that Esther won the beauty contest until Haman was swinging over the tree was how many years, Avi? Years. Many years. We don't think. But you can't see it. You have to connect the dots. Like we have to connect the dots in our own lives that we go through. Kadosh Baruch Hu, you are controlling the game. I know it's all you. It's just amazing. Now, in the Megillah, the word machar keeps popping up again. She keeps saying, Esther, machar. Machar. I'll go to the party, machar. I want to see Haman, machar. And that word machar pops up when Amalek attacks us the first time. Moshe Rabbeinu says, I'll go to war, what? Machar. I'll go to attack Gaza, machar. What's wrong with today? When it comes to Amalek, how come the word machar is always popping up? In Parshat B'Shalach, Amalek terrorizes us. Moses tells Yeshua, go to war when? Machar. In the Megillah Esther, she keeps repeating the word machar. That's Amalek's game plan. I want to start my diet, but I'll start when? Tomorrow. I want to stop speaking Lashon Hara, but I'll start when? Tomorrow. I want to start Daf Yomi? Tomorrow. That's Amalek, the Yetzer Hara's game plan. You know you got to do the right thing, but wait till tomorrow. And tomorrow never comes. You start your diet tomorrow? Tomorrow never comes. That's the Amalek trick. Daniel, I think it's called smoke and mirrors. You know you have to do the right thing, but you keep saying machar, machar, machar. That's the Amalek smoke and illusion, soul smoke and mirrors. Don't fall for the Amalek trick. You got to do the right thing. You do it now, because tomorrow will never come. That's the Satan, the Yetzer Hara's game plan. Amalek, evil. That's pretty amazing, huh? L'machar. Over and over again, l'machar, it says over here in the Megillah. So she says, Esther, gather all the Jews with tzumu alai, val tochlu val tishtu. Fast for me and don't eat and drink. Now, Soloveitchik says it seems to be redundant. Who doesn't know what fasting means? Avi, it says, tzumu alai, and oh, by the way, val tochlu val tishtu. What does fasting mean? Doesn't fasting mean don't eat or drink? Yeah. So why is it redundant? It says, Soloveitchik, the purpose of a fast, tzom in Hebrew, the root is tzama, tzadik memhei, which means to braid together, to tie together. The purpose of a fast is vitzumu, not to go on a diet. If we're all hungry and thirsty, we can feel each other's discomfort. Vitzumu alai is lasso tzama, said Rav Soloveitchik. To feel each other's discomfort, to come together. Lasso tzama. So it's not enough just not to eat and drink. Tzumu, come together right now. If you unite, that's how we fight Haman. Haman said we're divided, we can't stand each other. So the tafkid is v'tzumu alai. The purpose of not eating and drinking, Avi, is to lasso tzama, to unite, to break together. And once we do that, we don't have to fear anybody. When we are divisive, then we have problems. But when the Jewish people are united, no one can harm us. That's v'tzumu alai. Come together, braid together. That's how we neutralize. Haman said, we're mufurad, there's pirut, we're separate, we can't stand each other. Tzumu alai. Therefore you have mishloach manas, matanas, lav yoinim, that we do love each other, we care about each other. Haman was lying. We do love each other. We're not divided. So hopefully the Purim message we can take with us all year. That good cheer, that good feeling of Purim should stay with us, Avi, all year. Not the shikar part, I mean. Not the shikar part.
That's okay.
Right? That's my topic on Sunday. Drink, but don't get drunk. That's my topic on Sunday. Drink, not drunk. Get it? Drink, not drunk. And but the good feeling of Purim should remain with us throughout the year. That is our challenge.
For more of Rabbi Sprecher's teachings, visit rabbisprecher.com.